Bitcoin is at an all-time high with maybe no end in sight. And so this is going to be a very Bitcoin heavy video. And I'm just going to tell you up front, based off of a lot of metrics that I'm going to share in this video, there's not much of a reason to be bearish. Okay. So very Bitcoin centric. I'm not even focusing on altcoins in this particular video. Let's focus on Bitcoin for the time being and hope that Bitcoin dominance goes down. All right, before we do that, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel and all of that. But let's go ahead and dive on in. First, we have from Glassnode here. When Bitcoin hit all-time high yesterday, being a couple days ago, total profit-taking volume was around 1 billion. Less than half the amount realized when Bitcoin first crossed $100,000 last December, which hit 2.1 billion. Despite a higher price, profit realization was far more muted. Of course, $100,000 being a key psychological level, surely that would mean that a lot of people are going to be looking to exit around $100,000, that, hey, this is the price that I've had in mind that I want to exit. A lot more people than $110,000. And you can see, yeah, significantly more profit taking when Bitcoin first hit $100,000 in early December. Right now, it's about half of that. That is a bullish sign. And then you can see here, coin age distribution shows the shift. Less than 1 month old coins in May of 2025, 76.9%. So, people taking profits more now, short-term holders, but long-term holders, not so much. Only 13.4% of greater than 6 month old coins have moved in May of 2025. This is one of many bullish things that I'm going to show you for Bitcoin. Moving on. This is an if scenario. So what does that mean? Well, all right, maybe RSI will get rejected here. I don't know. But if the weekly RSI trend line breaks to the upside, that would be quite bullish. So right now, this is in the level of bearish divergence. We are not to worry as much about divergences when we are going up as solidly as we are, when retail interest is so low. If we can see Bitcoin's weekly RSI break this trend line when it's already so high, then my goodness, we are off to the races. I mean, I want to be a little bit more muted than saying we're off to the races. That's bullish, okay? That means that we're going to break some key levels, some very important levels that I'll be showing another chart in this video. Moving on here. Alpha Fractal. Bitcoin moves towards liquidity. The aggregated liquidation levels across multiple exchanges make it clear price is hunting bears and it won't stop until they're fully liquidated. The same happened a few weeks ago when bulls were the ones trapped. Our liquidation levels are the most accurate on the market, yada, yada, yada. Alpha Fractal, check it out now, alphafractal.com. And what do you see here? You still see, my goodness, people wanting to short Bitcoin. And lots of shorting in the one teens in particular, but very close to where we are now. At the moment that I'm making this video, Bitcoin is at 111,000 and change, and there is more of a level of potential liquidations on the short side than on the long side. There's a key level in reference to the RSI that I'm going to show you a chart for. I've talked about this chart. I talked about it on my live stream with Devin yesterday. Just something to pay attention to, that maybe this is going to be a local peak, but I would say probability-wise, we are going to break through that level this time around. But moving on, another bullish chart from Max Price here, Bitcoin breaking out of the weekly upper Bollinger Band. This move often marks a huge parabolic move. So you can see when that last happened, November of 2024, we broke through the upper level of the Bollinger Band on a weekly candle and rode that from the 70s up until 108K. And so do we have something similar ahead of us short term here? Maybe. I mean, we're talking about a few weeks. We're talking about a few weeks, not forever, but a few weeks of exciting upward action in Bitcoin. Maybe that is what's next. But here is the chart that I just want to draw your attention to. Now, this is really interesting. It's talking about China, China's M2 money supply in comparison to Bitcoin, and this is Bitcoin priced in China's M2 money supply. And just the same way, it's the same deal if Bitcoin priced in USD, what you would see here is, excuse me, $113,000, around $113,000. That would put us at a point touch number 5 of a 4-year trend line that we're flirting with here. If we can break through this to the upside, it's very bullish, but there's going to be some resistance here, not just in China M2 money supply, but in US dollars as well. We're making our way up there, but let's see what Zhao Wedson has to say. Will the intriguing pattern between Bitcoin and China repeat again? Sure, I mean, Bitcoin and China or Bitcoin USD. The next major move for Bitcoin USD will likely occur when Bitcoin USD China M2 money supply tests the trend line for the fifth time. It's very possible and definitely something we should keep our close eye on. So this is the only thing really that it would communicate to me that we might be hitting a local top. Like I said, though, probability-wise, I do have a mindset that we are going to this time around break through this trend line. And the reason why, a lot of it has to do with where we are sentiment-wise right now versus where we were at these previous 4 touches. I mean, we're talking about the Coinbase IPO, peak euphoria in 2021. Coinbase being the #1 app in the App Store. Same deal in November of 2021. Coinbase, #1 app in the App Store. Trump is president. The big rally 2025 is going to make all your wildest dreams come true. And Coinbase did not become the #1 app, but it did enter the top 10 apps in the App Store. The day of the inauguration, getting right up to that trend line, lots of excitement, lots of high expectations that we're going to go much higher. This time around, we've talked about this a ton. Sentiment is extremely low right now. That seems to be the ingredients for a break through this trend line finally. But we'll see. We're going to have to wait and see. We could certainly get rejected there, but my money is on the idea that we would not get rejected there based off of a lot of things I've already shared in this video. Axel Adler here. We have, after the Luna collapse, average weekly trading volumes for the Bitcoin USD pair on centralized exchanges have been declining from a peak of 2.9 million in July of 2022. Excuse me. Sorry. To just 426,000 as of yesterday's session. People constantly appeal to volume going down as a reason why Bitcoin can't climb. Well, the reason why volume is going down is because people are holding on more. I don't see that. This is a different asset class than stocks. If that was the case with stocks, other things could happen. Maybe the company would print more shares. Maybe there would be splits. That can't happen with Bitcoin. Aside from the typical mining output that happens, and that's cut in half every 4 years. So we should expect volume to decrease, especially if we're talking about volume in Bitcoin, which is what these charts always show us. If we were to look at volume in dollars, that would not be the case at all. But this is a bullish thing, okay? This can be seen as a long-term bullish signal as it reduces the available supply on exchanges, which in turn puts upward pressure on the price. A very fascinating chart here that, wow, okay, really important to pay attention to, especially with everything that's going on in the bond market right now, which my very last tweet that I want to highlight here is focusing on the bond market, actually from this exact same account, Stack Hodler, okay? Bitcoin is on the verge of new highs in dollar terms, but it's still well off of highs in Swiss francs. And you can see they were pretty close together, the US dollar and the Swiss franc, up until around April. And then with this, with the bond issues that are happening right now, the US dollar, Bitcoin's US dollar price has hit a new all-time high, but the Swiss franc has not, priced in the Swiss franc. And why is that? Well, let's read here. Switzerland has a debt to GDP ratio of about 37% compared to the US at 124%. The Swiss have no need to devalue their currency to manage their debt, which makes the franc a useful measuring stick for asset performance. The recent divergence between Bitcoin priced in dollars versus Bitcoin priced in Swiss francs is screaming that the tariffs plus Doge plan were a failure. I would more so say that we are stuck in a rock between a rock and a hard place that has happened long before tariffs and Doge came into effect. But anyway, the only way the U.S. can manage its debt is by turning the dollar bill into confetti. I do agree with that. So if you're an American, you need to be careful pricing things in dollars. Capital flight into Bitcoin is the new 60-40 passive index portfolio. Most just haven't caught on yet. I agree with 90% of that tweet. Credible Crypto here says Bitcoin monthly RSI is breaking into overbought territory again. My goodness, this is not normal. And what do we make of that? Maybe from not necessarily from this point on, but we should not be thinking of Bitcoin as its own thing, but as a thing that might end up trading in very similar ways to the NASDAQ, to the S&P 500. Seeing it break for a third time into overbought territory. The last two times we did this, monthly candles that broke us into overbought territories were 22 and 33 large respectively. Will this third monthly candle be even bigger, currently at 18,000 with around 10 days until the monthly close? We will see. We will see. All right, one more thing from Axel Adler. Red, purple, blue, navy, and black dots are all coming. I hope so. I hope he's right. So we are in orange zone. What does that mean? Bitcoin daily price analysis with SMA multiplier. And so this bottom one is the 200 week, simple moving average. And in comparison to that, you can see that we've spent very little time historically below there. There's other SMAs on here for sure as well. And so when you factor all that in, when do things get really hot? Well, when we're in a different level than where we are now, historically at least. So we're in the orange zone, similar to when Bitcoin was around a little higher than $20,000 in 2021. Will we see red? Will we see purple? Will we see blue, navy, and black? That would put Bitcoin much higher than where it is now. I am not necessarily saying I agree with Axel Adler. I'm not saying I disagree with him. There's a lot of things that are certainly different variables right now. Who knows? But something worth keeping in mind. Now, to throw a little bit of water on this fire, these kind of charts just keep me up at night. I don't know what to make of this in terms of what does this mean for Bitcoin. This can either be very, very bullish for Bitcoin, or it can be very, very bearish for Bitcoin with very little in between. So everyone expects yield curve control, but Japan already tried YCC and look what it got them. The Japanese bond market is terrifying right now, okay? And the United States bond market is also scary. They are tied together for reasons we'll read in this post. A spectacular bond market implosion is happening right in front of us. Now, every Japanese bank, pension fund, and insurance company that trusted the Bank of Japan is holding a massive bag of flaming excrement. And so, if this is the end result of yield curve control, why would any rational investor hold sovereign debt from severely indebted nations? Not just Japan. It's possible the music is stopping and we may be about to jump straight into the end, folks. Central banks' credibility is shattering in real time. Now, here's with a potential bullish thing for Bitcoin. And if this is bullish, I'm telling you guys, this is bullish in a big, big way. This is a breaking of the cycle to the upside. Say goodbye to diminishing returns. But this is also very scary from just an everyday perspective, okay? So I don't know if I'm even cheering for this, but scarce neutral reserve assets, Bitcoin and gold, need to be repriced dramatically higher to reflect a world where investors suddenly realize en masse that sovereign debt is worthless without the backing of the biggest money printing the world has ever seen. Global sovereign debt bubble burst and capital flight into Bitcoin. It's no longer prophecy, it's an observation. Everything that was appealing about Bitcoin for an Austrian economic believer like myself is playing itself out exactly how, I'm not going to say I thought it would play itself out, exactly how they thought, how orange-pilled people tend to think it was going to play itself out. Because really, am I a lover of Bitcoin or a hater of the dollar? If it's between the two, I'm a hater of the dollar and fiat currencies around the world, and Bitcoin is the best alternative for me. And I think for all of us. So, crossing fingers, hoping that what is happening right now is a break to the upside where Bitcoin goes way higher. What does that mean for altcoins? Well, Bitcoin dominance is going to climb in a world where we would see $600,000 Bitcoin in 2025. Not saying that's going to happen, but it's an above 0% chance. So anyway, as of right now, Bitcoin is hanging around $111,000. All eyes are on Bitcoin dominance. Have we put in that lower high? Would love to see that being a lower high right at the 702 retrace from the recent swing low to the recent swing high. So maybe we are on our way down to a lower level. Lots of support at 61.5%, at 61%. We'll see breakthrough there, and it's going to be exciting times for ye altcoin holders. Ethereum is looking pretty strong as well. Coiling, trying to break through some very key levels of resistance. Breaks through there. There's very little resistance between that and the next stop around $3,000. Looking at what's happening on coinmarketcap.com, we are sad to report that Fartcoin is no longer trending, but Trump coin is on the move, and some other cryptos as well. ICP, #1 trending on coinmarketcap.com. No idea why that would be the case. But you can see prices here. Ethereum 2650, Tether $1, shocking. XRP 242, Binance 681, Solana 178, and hopefully Bitcoin dominance on the way down. But anyway, that is all I have for today. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful rest of your week, and I will most certainly be seeing you in another video. Peace.